celebrate International Women's Day. So it's a little bit dark and gloomy here because we're inside. It's been a bit rainy today in the Algarve. So you'll have to forgive the quality of the picture today, but I hope you can hear us. Anyway, yes, we thought we'd talk to you about International Women's Day because it's not really much of a thing in England, is it? But, and Lucy doesn't really know anything about
I don't know anything about International Women's Day.
But we thought we'd come along because there was free wine.
Yeah.
Not me at all, obviously. So, yeah, International Women's Day. You don't know why we have it?
No, I don't. I mean, I personally think it should be International Women's Day every day then. If that means you can drink wine every day.
I don't think the idea of it is just to drink wine. No.
Oh, okay.
It's International Women's Day, as far as I understand it. It has its origins in women's suffrage, women attempting to get the vote. Obviously, that was, 1918? So it's only just been over 100 years that women have even been allowed to vote in England. I think New Zealand was the first place.
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah, in maybe about 10 years before that. I'm sorry, I have not got my history right here. But I think New Zealand was the first place. But yes, it's about equality for women.
Okay.
The theme of this year's International Women's Day is digital innovation and equality for everyone.
Okay.
So I think that
which is amazing. That makes great sense. But I'm living in England for most of my life.
Yeah.
I've never heard about it.
No, I
in
didn't.
England
I
at all.
didn't.
It's only since I've moved to Portugal that every year on International Women's Day we've celebrated it here. But we never used to celebrate it in the UK.
The first time I heard about it was when my daughter was working in Russia and she got some presents for International Women's Day because all women there get treated, and she told me about it, and I was interested to find out. But I think it's a celebration of women, and I suppose if you think about it, in a lot of countries, and including here in Portugal, women have been subjugated and are not seen as equal to men, and certainly in an awful lot of countries in the world, women are
Very much so
absolutely
here.
nowhere near.
Yeah, you do notice it here.
You do.
I don't notice it in the UK at all, but I notice it here.
When we go out, for example, when we were, and you were inebriated on Friday night even, she was. If you thought about
For those of you that know me, you know that's a complete lie, don't you? I was not inebriated.
Just a little bit. But if you remember, you don't see groups of Portuguese women out together, do you?
No, absolutely not. No, you don't. You don't. It doesn't happen, does it?
No.
It doesn't happen.
No, you don't. You don't see groups of Portuguese women going out for dinner like we do.
Yes.
Like tomorrow night we might be having a tiny little celebration. Because it's my birthday.
On International Women's Day, and we're out for your birthday, having a lovely meal.
But we will be we will definitely an anomaly, because here it's women don't seem to have the same freedom, or they don't feel the same confidence even.
No, okay, so for somebody that doesn't really know much about International Women's Day, it's the whole thing with, for me, like, why is there not an International Man's Day there?
Okay.
Because, like, I am all about equality, to be perfectly honest, and I think that's great that we're having that day.
They do have that.
What, International Man's Day?
No, you know what they call it, don't they? I think it's about the 15th of March. They call it Steak and Blowjob Day. Yeah, did you not know that? That's what men have.
That is hilarious. That's
Did you not know that?
I didn't know there was a steak and blowjob day.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Right. So why is International Women's Day just called it? Why can it not be called?
We can't.
Why can it not be called?
Stop it.
Can I not say?
No. But yeah, originally it was about.
Do you know what I would have said? I would have said cake and suck your nipples day.
So rude. No, it's about. It was originally about sort of celebrating the fact that women had finally got the vote, and that they were becoming more and more equal with men. And obviously, as we know, sadly, in many parts of the world, women are still hugely subjugated.
Yes.
And in some parts of the world, they're not even their own person. They belong to the male head of the family.
Yes. Yes.
We find very difficult. I mean, subjugation of any kind, I strongly
of course
dislike and object to.
Yeah.
So anything, I suppose, that promotes the fact that
100%.
we're all
of course.
but whatever you want to be, you can be. If you want to be a banana, and identify as that, you're equal to everyone else. That's cool.
What, if you want to be a banana?
Yeah, if you want to be a banana, you can be a banana. You can be a banana. But do you know what I mean? You can be whatever you want to be. But you can
just celebrate it.
And if you want to, it's like saying to everyone, I suppose it's Women's Day, is about saying, do you know what? We are as good as men.
Of course.
History has shown how women did belong to a man, how they had to kowtow to the head of the family.
Yes. Yeah.
And even down to the fact that the line of succession for the throne has changed a few years ago, wasn't it? So Princess Charlotte is now further up
down
the line in the throne.
Further up.
Yeah, because she was the second-born child, so the patriarchal
Yes,
system
of course
has
she
been
was.
changed. So
George.
now it was George, Charlotte, and then Louis. But now Charlotte has been placed in front of Louis.
So things are changing then, aren't they?
Well,
things are changing.
Very slowly still. And in some parts of the world, unfortunately, they've gone backwards. We know what's happened in Afghanistan with the Taliban taking over. Women have taken 6 steps backwards there, haven't they?
Yeah.
Losing their education. And we should be aware of things like that. And maybe think about women who aren't as fortunate as us.
Of course. But so
we can be strong, independent women. But sadly,
strong, independent women.
There are many women in the world who aren't. So yes, we're here today, annual celebration, and we're talking about women's achievements and how equality is working in the world for women, and bemoaning the fact that for some poor women it is taking a step backwards.
Yeah, and I think what's lovely today is actually we are with a lot of women who have independently got their own businesses and have very entrepreneurial and have made a success of their life after bringing up children.
You have.
Well, I'm not sure it's been a success.
You are. You're a successful woman.
Yes,
I'd
like
you
to say
are.
I
You can
am.
stand on your own 2 feet.
Yes.
I have my own business. I write silly books and do that sort of thing. And as much as and we have freedom of speech, and I think we're celebrating that sort of thing.
Well, I studied all about the suffragettes when I was at school, and I was fascinated by it. I absolutely loved it, and I loved history, and it was my I did a project on the suffragettes, so I absolutely loved the whole idea of women empowering women.
But can you imagine that then? It's only just over 100 years ago that women. And I think the First World War, obviously, because women had to take a forefront role then, because so many men were away, women were working in the munitions factories, and they took on the roles that men took. And I think, yes, because of the First World War, that the position of women in society was fast-forwarded it many years.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't think that would have happened without the First
No,
World
I think
War.
you're right. I took inspiration from my grandmother. So my grandmother, gosh, God bless her soul, her husband... her first husband took his own life, aged 54, because he had cancer, and then she had to bring up. My mum was obviously a grown-up, and she just had me, so the same year that she just had me. And then she married another man who died of cancer a few months after, and she had to become very, very, very independent. She was a great, independent, feisty woman, my grandmother, a northern woman, and who absolutely fought for her whole life to make sure that she was fine and she was successful, and that my mother had a great life, we had a great life. She was a huge inspiration to me.
So that's amazing, because my grandma would have been about 104 now, or something like that. But I remember my grandma, she died when she was 98, I remember her telling me that when she wanted to drive a car, her brother, so she was born in, it must have been about 1918.
Yeah.
So her brother, because her father had passed away, and her father was the head of the family, oldest brother, took her to the local police station where he had to sign for her to be allowed to drive.
Yes.
We think that's crazy. Yeah. And then my grandma, she drove cars during the war, and then she was married, and she was a homemaker for all her life, and she wasn't the same. She was lovely. She was my granny, but she was lovely.
Lovely.
But
yes.
she wasn't like didn't fight like your
No,
grandma
okay.
did.
Well, my grandmother massively for everything that she had in life. Really, she was an amazing woman. She was a drama teacher, an elocution teacher, a piano teacher. She did whatever she needed to do because both her husbands both died of cancer quite young, so she had no choice but to be really strong, independent woman to look after her family.
Yeah.
And you know, being northern as well, you know, she was a real northern lady that you know, you're just used to fighting for everything that you need to get. You know, she was fantastic, and my legacy lives on through my grandmother, I think, being powerful and strong and independent and thinking, right, nothing's going to faze me, I'm just going to get on with it. I'm going to get on with it.
So I suppose I didn't have that from either of my grandmothers because they were both married and had a husband all the time and was supported.
Yeah.
But I've been a single mum most of my, you know, I mean, unfortunately, my kids have grown up just with me, poor kids, sorry.
Yeah.
And you just have to get on with it. You just have to find a way, and you do have to just manage.
I mean, my grandmother, albeit her two husbands passed away, you know, one committed suicide and one through cancer, she had lots of boyfriends.
Did she?
Of course she did.
Oh wow.
I mean, that runs in the family, obviously.
Yeah,
that's right.
like
So,
that.
albeit she was independent, she still always had lots of boyfriends. You know, right up until she was in her 80s, she had boyfriends, and boyfriends that would take her dancing and stuff
That's
like that.
fantastic.
So she was very strong. You know, she played the piano at the local church, the organ, you know, on a service on a Sunday. She was answer. I swear to God, she was the most feistiest, strong woman I've ever met.
We don't have the same challenges as that because we have in our generation, and even our children even more so. Our girls can do whatever they want to do.
Yes,
and aren't they lucky? Aren't they lucky?
Yes, absolutely.
To be born with those opportunities. And I think that's what today's about, celebrating. It's about the fact that our girls, we've made this is a better world for them. And let's pray to God that in the other girls around the world who are struggling with oppression and in Afghanistan with those poor girls, their time has gone backwards.
Yes.
And their education has been taken away. Let's hope that things move forward for them.
Yeah, let's hope so. So International Women's Day is about us women empowering women a little bit as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And staying strong and proving to other women. I think we need to be an example. So if we are strong women and we can, even when we face, you know, diversity, we face
any
challenges of any description, which I certainly have the last few years.
We stick together as well.
Stick together.
And we help one another.
Absolutely. Look out for each other and make sure that absolutely. Look after your female mates, everybody, right? Your mum, your daughter, your friends.
Yeah.
We all do, don't we?
Yeah.
So here, big thumbs up to International Women's Day, right?
Okay. Thanks ever so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.